Hello YouTubers, welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well today and let's get into it. What's going on? What is going on? Well, there's been some information that has come my way and I just wanted to shed a little bit more light on it. I know we have all these stories that are really hot topics right now around Will Smith and Chris Rock, and I definitely want to speak some more onto that. But some news that has come out that I think needs to be looked at a lot closer because it has some serious ramifications around a lot of the things that we are doing every day, and that is on social media. And it really has gotten to a point where there needs to be some changes, and the people that are going to be behind these changes need to be people who we know we can trust to be behind this misinformation in a way that is definitely objective. And we don't want someone controlling the dials that's Satan. We don't want Satan controlling the dials on things that are going to affect us all. It's to around 2017, 18 especially, and into 19. And during this time, there was this great phenomenon that happened in the world of social media. So all of a sudden, there would be these swarms of information that was coming out, and people were essentially voicing their opinions around things around the royals. What? It's like usually this stuff was only done, when stories would come out around politics. There's this swarms of information, people tweeting and talking, and all kinds of information is going back and forth around a simple story about Meghan Markle way back into the pre-marriage days. So how did this start? How was it that there was all of a sudden this really controlled army of people voicing their opinions about stories that would come out about Meghan Markle? Could it be that Meghan and her team were behind something well into the early days of the relationship with Harry, even before the marriage, that they were trying to control information like in the early days, like the prenup days, like the days when you were thinking, well, should we get married? Should we not get married? Like, we didn't know. And then all of a sudden this thing popped up about this story back then. And I want to just address this story again and put some context on it around some things that are happening today. Okay, so this is a story that came out in March of 2019. So there is this European consulting firm that has discovered a highly connected Twitter hive that is attacking journalists at a very high level. So high that people's ears perked up. They're like, what in the world is going on here? What? It was so abnormal that we knew something had to be going on. So Josh Fehlberg's dive into this divisive world of royal social media began after he had read a story about how royal correspondents were actually under attack. Now, he recounts from way back, and particularly a journalist that would write for these really high-profile publications like The Telegraph and The Express. Camilla Tominey with The Telegraph, a very reputable, fair-minded, and balanced royal correspondent. Tominey, who is a veteran reporter, I love her. I think she does a really good objective view on the things that she speaks about. She's very, straight to the facts. She's not, anything that shows slanted in her view, but she gives it the way it is. And I think because she's doing that, when you're giving the news the way it is, people are not liking the way you're giving the news when it is what it is. And they don't like it. But she's like, well, this is what it is. But she's still getting attacked. That's not right? Okay, so assaults were coming on these royal journalists, saying it, whenever they would report on things about Meghan, they would suddenly be attacked about being racist or being bullies or, just hating on Meghan at alarming rates. It was so much alarming that they knew it had to be something that was very well organized and commissioned by somebody. I mean, somebody who had Meghan Markle's interests was definitely, or had to be, I'm speculating, behind something like this. Feldberg, he was curious that he had never, thought about royals being the hotbed for, stories that would come out. This was always left really up to like stories around politics and Democrats and Republicans and conservatives, whatever. You would never see something like this around royalty. And I think the one narrative that has really put itself in the middle of this is this, Meghan Markle marrying into the royal family. Like, that was an oddity, the woman of her background being, marrying into the royal family. And that was strange to a lot of people. And you're like, okay, Harry going this route. Okay, Harry. And then all of a sudden, the same thing with these stories coming out. Oh, okay, we're going to start seeing people who are just reporting about the royals being attacked. Like, this is unusual. Why is this happening? The head of this digital company at 89up, it is a European consulting research. They were breaking ground on something very, very unusual that was happening. What they were doing was investigating into disinformation and fake news. So he was right. He was the right person to see if there was really anything suspicious out there. Looking at Meghan Markle in the Twitter community, his findings were first reported in the Telegraph by Camilla Tominey and Hannah Furness, the paper's royal correspondents. The focus of this 89up called an orchestrated attack by this network is what they actually discovered. So this whole thing is a bit insane, Feldberg tells McLean's, using a data tools and software to track keywords such as Duchess of Sussex and hashtags like hashtag Markle. So he and his colleagues were able to extract relevant tweets that helped them to analyze the interconnections between these different tweets and things about the Duchess. So what they found was about a little over 1,000 highly connected Twitter accounts in this network. A lot of them seemed to have people behind them with some connections with the bots. So it looked like, people were able to control these different bots and have also for themselves different accounts so that they can expand the network and reach of the people that were actually tweeting. People, meaning real people, and bots. Many appear to be cyborgs, part animated and part human accounts that automatically retweet like-minded messages. They have anonymity. They can be behind, the dark walls, the dark glass, and, no one can see them, but they can kind of let people see them, and they can be all brave and bold, like, having some liquid courage, and you out there doing things you never thought you could do without alcohol. They don't have large followings, but what they do have are a lot of interconnections with other people in their accounts. So they are very heavily connected. Feldberg explains, they very much follow each other. It's a dense network. They retweet each other a lot. The vast majority of tweets are actually retweets. Feldberg usually sees such suspicious networks in political media. It was just the first time that it was actually seen amongst royalty. Because, right now, y'all just royals. Like, why is this all of a sudden a flurry? Oh. It's that one person that has entered the royal family that has caused all of this suspicious activities. Yes. So they witnessed these Twitter gangs that they would tweet blog posts about Meghan and kind of rally behind the troops, and they would stoke the fires. A story would come out about Meghan, and then they would get people talking about it, and they would stoke the fires and, really try to get people revved up behind the issue. And then they would talk about the journalist that was reporting on something, especially if it did not show Meghan in a good light. And they were attacking these reporters for their just basic everyday stories that they would be putting out. So let's say, there was a story that came out, about Meghan and what happened with the planning of the wedding, and there were accusations that Meghan said, "Oh, it stinks in here," or just making, I want a red rug because Diana had a red rug. I want a red rug, and the Queen was like, "No, you don't get a rug. You ain't getting nothing. You either getting a blue rug or you ain't getting no rug, woman, because you ain't Diana. You just are not Diana." And then we know Meghan, she went without the rug. Camilla would then come out with a story about it, just giving the facts, telling it like it is. Because it did not portray Meghan in a good light, they would start attacking Camilla, the reporter, about, you lying. You racist. Why'd you say our Duchess, she said this, or she was being this way towards the royals when she was planning her wedding? You lying. I'm gonna kill you. You racist. Whatever, just making up stuff. Just making it up. Blindly just trying to stoke the fires to get people all upset about it and to get people to think, don't write anything that's going to be negative. It's almost like, hey, when a story that comes out that tells it like it is, being the truth essentially, don't report on it if Meghan is doing something she shouldn't be doing. Because we don't want to report on her wrongdoings. We don't want to report when she's being a bad girl. Okay? Because if you report on her being a bad girl, we're going to attack the person that wrote the article. Now, how is that fair? How is that right? So who is behind this? In the very beginning, this is very suspect, isn't it? The nastiness isn't isolated to royal watchers. Even royal families own feeds that have been infected. So royal households took an action against releasing social media guidelines because it was just getting out of hand. People didn't know how to control themselves. It was just acting like they complete fools when it came to getting online and tweeting and talking about things. They didn't know how to act. So the royals had to put out some guidelines and say, hey, look, we're going to go by these guidelines. And if you don't go by these guidelines, we're going to block you. Like, we're going to block you because you ain't got no sense. Just all kind of things to make people just not want to write anything that could be portrayed as negative about Meghan, because it was you just knew you were going to be viciously attacked. And I find that is so ironic when you're just reporting the news, but the person that is doing the wrongdoing, or the person who is making accusations or who have been reported on doing something that may not have them in a good light, like their actions are completely bypassed. Don't even look at their actions, but we're going to look at the person that had the nerve to say something about it. That's what we're going to do. Accounts that tweeted primarily about politics, but also tweet extensively about the Duchess could point to an orchestrated campaign to manipulate public opinion by an organization or state. Now, he wonders if they could be building up followings over time, engaging with real people across political divides when they want to focus on a particular campaign, political or social. They change the subject to one that they really want to focus on. And it's a classic bot troll disinformation and destabilization strategy that has been seen before, particularly with who? With Russia. Yes, this has definitely come out of a communist country and it's finding its way into America. How does that make you feel, folks? But I want to just kind of poke at you some questions around this and look at how things were also happening around this time for Meghan's sister, Samantha, when people started to say that, she was put on one of these lists for people who are stalkers and claiming that, she was stalking Meghan and, making it seem like, she was under investigation by the Scotland Yard FTAC list, which is pretty much like the FBI here in the States. Like, they're putting her on a watch list because she's a stalker of the royals. And this is the organization that oversees any obsessive people obsessing over anyone within the royal family. But there was this misinformation put out there to suggest that perhaps Samantha was one of these crazed stalkers, fanatics who wanted to do harm to Miss Meghan. you go back to all of this, and it is absolutely not the case. This was once again misinformation. And I want to ask the question, will Harry, when he starts this campaign for misinformation, will he also look at the misinformation that is being poked on the other side? People that are attacking people who are essentially calling Meghan out for her behavior, but also being affected by negative trolls and stalkers. Will this be a part of his misinformation as well? And that is what scares me, is that his voice is behind something that to me would appear to be very, very one-sided. That scares me. And because he has the money to do that, it makes it all the more, there's something wrong here. Why you have an interest in this? Considering there was something very nefarious going on way back in the wee days before they even left to move out of the royal households and to move back to this, or to move to the States. So there was an orchestrated campaign from the very, very beginning. It was trying to protect anything that came out negatively about Meghan, but also to attack and to harass and to threaten the family of Meghan, because they were calling Meghan out about, why are you ghosting us? We your family, woman. What's wrong with you? Did you hit your head? You know, look, there's a picture. Like, I know you, like you and me, we like siblings. Like, it was just strangeness going on. The level of nefarious behavior escalated so high for Samantha. Like, she had to go to the police. And even within the police departments, things just were not really being taken that seriously. And, you know, there were real problems with people trolling her to a level that would make anyone cringe. And I want you to think about this stuff that was happening in the very beginning, when they were asking questions about why they weren't invited to, you know, just speaking out normally about, you know, family, you know, and then suddenly Samantha and her father are being attacked. People are hacking into Samantha's phone, showing that they have the passwords to her social media accounts. They know her social security number, tweeting out pictures of her falling over a cliff in her wheelchair, pictures of her behind a dartboard. Like, this was happening way back then.
Could it be from the very beginning that Meghan knew that her truth was going to be different from the truth that her family was going to tell about her life growing up?
She had to appeal to, you know, very high levels of security, because the threats and the information that was coming out to protect Meghan and to target people that said anything, even reporters, about Meghan that was slightly negative, they were being attacked and threatened. But yet and still, what did Samantha do? She took it seriously and she tried to get it to stop. Even so, she tried to even put out, I think, safeguards to protect people when they are on social media with these biometrics, where, you know, in order to sign into your Twitter account or your Facebook account, you know, let me see your eyeball. Let me see if it's really you. Because if it is you, I want to see that I have your identity connected to the words that you are spilling out into this forum. Let me see your fingerprint. Let me see something that identifies you as you. Because we know when people can hide behind a wall and just buff up their chest and like hear me roar without anyone really knowing who they are, people will say some crazy things. And so I think these safeguards that she wanted to put out there was a good idea. It makes everyone much safer. And it should also be that anybody who is coming out speaking about misinformation, disinformation, I want to know what it is that you are trying to control in terms of narrative. Because we know way back during the Oprah Winfrey interview, Harry and Meghan said at least 17 lies that were verified. So if any misinformation is coming out, it's these two. It's the new ex-royals in Montecito. They're the ones who are putting out misinformation, but yet they want to hide behind the cloak of, we're going to try to stop this misinformation, while putting out misinformation. It just boggles the mind. It really does. It's like, you have the nerve. The nerve. Like, we ain't stupid. We are not stupid. We see you. So what we have here now is something that had intentionally, in my opinion, been orchestrated well before it was announced that the ex-royals were moving to Montecito. And then what do we have in the modern day right now? We have Harry trying to be behind the investigations, being a part of a study, research on misinformation. There is a conflict of interest here, my friends, and I hope you see it, because I see it. Prince Harry is going to be one of 15 commissioners leading the study on misinformation. He's going to be joining the Aspen Institute on Misinformation. And I have a problem with this, because when you've already been called out for giving misinformation, you should suddenly just be void of being a part of any study behind misinformation, because you've already been found out. We've already seen your true colors. We've already seen that you put out misinformation. So why are we going to allow you to be a part of a study and to be on a team of commissioners who are going to be looking into misinformation when you've been proven to put out misinformation? Oh, you got a lot of money to help with the Institute study on this? Okay, you can come on, be on the study. Like, essentially, that's what happened. Oh, you lied. You gave out misinformation before in the past. You have never apologized. Oh, well, you know what? You got some money. That's okay. We're going to use your money because we need your money. Like, your money look really good. And the misinformation that you have put out really is not that important to us right now. We just need the money. We just need your dollars. And Harry and Meghan are saying that they have faced misinformation by the British media. This is why they want to be behind it. But I take it a little step further, in my opinion. I say they want to be behind it because they don't want their own misgivings of misinformation to be put on the forefront. They don't want people to know that perhaps they may have been behind an orchestrated attack against reporters and family members around anything that they may have said that could have slightly been skewed as negative in a news report or a personal opinion of a family member. Like, it's so deep and seedy at this point that it was well planned well before this announcement was made of them leaving the royal family. It's so much bigger in terms of the conglomerate of hostility that they have started out with, that no one saw it coming out at this level. It's massive, but maybe some clues were there. Maybe. I know I've talked about some of them on my channel as well as others. Perhaps the clues were there that they were trying to head this way all along. And this takes me to a couple of things that happened in the news and about, Samantha and how they get such the raw end of the stick when it comes behind the journalists and the misinformation, because it's so bad that you can have Samantha who comes out with truthful information, but that has not always been the case with Harry and Meghan. But when you look at certain journalists that are reporting, they will skew the conversation to make it look like Harry and Meghan are the ones who are being harassed by these wackadoo family members. And this lady right here who I saw on this show, she had made me so mad one day when the story came out that Samantha was actually filing a lawsuit against her sister for lying on her. And you know what she said at the end of the interview? She goes, oh, will she just go away? She just dismissed Samantha in the most egregious, most ugliest way possible. But yet this is a woman who is on a talk show giving information that is reported on by other reporters, yet she puts her personal views behind something that makes it look like it's Samantha who is the one who should be like, stop what you're doing. Stop, doing things like this. You're so silly. You're the one who's the problem, not Meghan. But yet she does not have a clear understanding of the facts and the information. It's supposed to weigh the stories evenly, you would think. That boggles my mind that that someone like this could actually be on the show. But you know, people have all kind of relationships and connections that could get them in certain positions. And, you know, that's what I chalk it up to. I mean, because clearly you don't know what you're talking about, woman. It went from an approval rating of around 40% pre-Oprah interview. And then after the Oprah interview, it like shot up to over 60% to them being likable. Like, what? Like, that don't seem right. It seemed like your lies worked. They worked. On some people. We're in the age of information right now, and because there's so much information, it's like an avalanche of misinformation that comes out there. And I just hope that with all of the misinformation that is coming out, that they uncover when there are people and organizations paying for bots, paying for misinformation to be disseminated to help them shine in a better light. This is what has been found from people that are on the pro-Meghan side. And I think if you're going to be a part of anything that has to do with misinformation, number one prerequisite to that, you can't have been called out for misinformation yourself.